Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to This Just In. I'm your host, Justin Barnes. In these segments, I'll bring the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and leadership. As always, we're broadcasting from the This Just In studios on the Business Radio X network, as well as the Healthcare Now radio network. However, before we dive in with my next guest, I'm excited to announce that on the heels of our 2024 Podcast of the Year award, we just expanded our broadcast into the Global Health Podcast Network and the phenomenal community there. Could not be more excited as we continue to grow and expand globally with the show. Also, thrilled to announce that the This Just In radio show will be broadcasting live from the Georgia HIMSS annual conference on October 1st in Atlanta, Georgia. So please join us there if you're going to be in the region. And also, we'll be broadcasting live from the health event in Las Vegas from October 20th through the 23rd. So hopefully you're going to be in Atlanta maybe on October 1st and join us there at the summit. And then also going to be at the health event in Las Vegas in late October. So hopefully, you know, all my listeners, you guys attend both those events usually, or at least certainly the health event in Las Vegas. So hopefully we'll see you there. And I'm still building some great guest schedules. So if you're interested in being on the show and you're a thought leader, top of your game, please feel free to reach out. But also, I'm excited in this fall season. It's not only college and pro football, but the tremendous energy of fall conference season for the healthcare industry. Could not be more excited about that. It's always fun to see thousands of our closest industry friends and peers. I'm ready for that for sure. But I'm also ready for this 304th episode. We have a great show with one of the most connected and coolest people in healthcare, Mr. Mike Silverstein, managing partner of healthcare IT and life sciences with Direct Recruiters, or DRI. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, Justin. Doing great. Really grateful for the invite and, fangirling out over here a little bit. So
That's awesome, brother. So how's your summer going? Any fun trips?
Really, really good summer. My wife and I, third year in a row, went to CMA Fest in Nashville,
Oh, nice.
which was great. Took the kids to Chicago and was down in Miami for a friend's birthday for a couple's weekend. So really, really good. And now my kids, 5 and 7, kindergartner and a second grader, are in their third week of school, and wife and I are back struggling doing second grade math homework at night after the work day.
Love it. Those are fun years, man. That's cool. Kindergarten, second grade. That's awesome. Fun.
Yeah, we got our hands full, but it's a good time. It's really good years. So
it's awesome. So also, we were just kind of catching up off air. I'm broadcasting now out of Sarasota, and it's kind of funny. I have construction below me, and I have a moving company outside here, and so there's a lot of fun background noise. But you have a connection to Sarasota. You come down here frequently as well?
I do, yeah. Actually was fortunate, been coming down there for many years. My brother-in-law had a place down there, and it's a little vacation spot. And actually my wife and I were fortunate to be able to buy a place down there in 2019, before all the pandemic craziness. So that's our little happy place to kind of get away and, swim with the kids and do all that, and get away from live in Cleveland, Ohio, so it's not wildly crazy up here, but get down there, especially in the winter months, is fantastic. It's our little home away from home.
Absolutely. And so actually, before we dive in, I think a little thing about what's cool about Sarasota is it's mainly a Midwestern city. There's a lot of people, most people from Michigan, Ohio, just the whole central corridor, Iowa, Wisconsin, the nicest people in the world. Literally, they get the shirt off your back, or they'll give you the shirt off their back, and just so kind and nice. And that's why I love being in this area. So, people like you come down here. So certainly, next time you come down, my friend, let me know for sure.
I will definitely holler, and your view is unbeatable out your window.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate here to have the golf here in the city and the Bay. It's very, very cool. So where'd you grow up and attend school, all that good stuff?
So I'm a townie. I grew up in Solon, Ohio, which is a suburb about 20 minutes outside of Cleveland. grew up here, went to college at Miami University, Miami of Ohio, not University of Miami in Florida. And then actually came back to Cleveland as I had a big career that was offered to me in commercial real estate in 2007, 2008, which sneak peek only lasted for 3 months in 2008. And so, but it brought me back home. And then I ended up marrying a Cleveland girl, and few years back, moved back to the town I actually went to high school in. So like, yeah, I'm the townie. Just had my 20-year high school reunion, and I was the guy that like still lives in town. So
Very cool. Nice. That's awesome.
it's good.
Yeah, yeah. So, how'd you find your way into healthcare, and certainly with DRI?
So dovetail off the previous comment, I had interned and worked for a few commercial real estate firms in college. Had this big career plan in commercial real estate. Lo and behold, the company I was working for, their stock price dropped from $55 a share to $5 a share while I was a senior in college. They were all tied up in mortgage-backed securities. Started in June, was out of a job by August.
Yeah.
Painted my parents' basement for a couple weeks. Got didn't have any good prospects, and got a buddy of mine's father who had a little 6-person recruiting firm, which was actually DRI, same company, back in 2008 to give me a shot. They were all had only recruited in manufacturing automation and had been doing that since 1983. That was also wildly dead in 2008. And so in not some crazy brilliant strategic move, I came across the HIMSS conference in Chicago in spring of 2009, and told the guy that I was working for, I was like, healthcare seems better than this. And so he agreed to send me the HIMSS conference, and I just kissed babies and shook hands for a few days and brought a bunch of business cards back, and cold called my way into it, and was fortunate, had a lot of really awesome people that kind of took time to explain to me about the industry and what they did, because I knew nothing. And really it was the people in this industry that really kind of were gracious enough to teach me about it. And that's kind of how I got into it back in spring of 2009.
Yeah. And I think let's take a moment there, because there's a couple things that I just heard, but also that I remember. I was at that HIMSS conference. I think we had roughly 16,000 people were at that conference, I would say, that year. So I mean, it was big. I mean, we grew and grew and grew. But I think that year we had about 16,000 there. I was actually on the board of HIMSS that year and just took over. I was chairperson of the EHR Association at that time too. So it was a very active meeting for me as well. But that was a great conference. But we're kind of catching up off air about how just not cyclical, but I would say wavy and ups and downs the market is right now. Not just healthcare, everything. Just the world is a little bit shaky at times, and it's really important. And because you just made me think about how even to how I've been able to build my success is just always making it happen. I was even talking about this at dinner last night with somebody. I don't rest my head at night until I've achieved my goals for the day. I'll be successful at all costs. I'll make everything work out. And I think that's kind of, we're talking a little bit about that. You've got to have that mentality and that philosophy, certainly today, because the world is just so up and down. And it sounds like you got your start. You said you cold called, you just made it happen. You went into HIMSS in Chicago in 2009 and just made it happen. And that's just through pure effort, pure might and will. And that's the secret to success. That's, again, I was talking about this at dinner last night with somebody, and just how you just gotta make it happen at all costs. Obviously, I always stay within the rules and the bounds, but I'll just outwork anybody. I'll out strategize, outthink, outwork, out hustle. And that's been my secret to success, up market, down market, because you are starting in a down market. I mean, 08, 09, that was a very tough market globally. So talk about that for a second.
It was a really tough market. And candidly, I kind of got into it on the heels of, getting knocked out of an industry that I was really excited about. And I came into this industry not knowing anything. And if anything, I think my paradigm that I started in my career with was one of like scarcity. And so just honestly in good markets and in bad since then, and because that's kind of my formidable time getting started, I would just wake up every morning kind of like hungry and with making sure that the doors don't close on my business. And so it's driven me since day one. And frankly, like in COVID in March of 2020, when I was trying to figure out, okay, do I actually attend HIMSS in Orlando? And then I think I'm going to, and then people started pulling out, and then they HIMSS called the show and took the decision out of my hands. But
Right.
that kind of mindset and grit that I developed in 2008, 2009 kind of came back and kicked in again in COVID, when my whole team, that a lot of my team that I had hired during some really good years, kind of look at me and look at like, okay, what do we do? And I kind of just I actually felt really invigorated, because I found I feel a lot of purpose when my back's kind of against the wall a little bit.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
candidly, it's what that starting point in a really tough market in 08, 09 has stuck with me, and it's kind of been a driving force ever since.
Yeah, and that goes back to my opening statement, how you're one of the most connected but also coolest people. It's like you just make it happen. Whatever you got to do, you make it happen. And yeah, and I actually think back to 2020 as well. I had a phenomenal. I mean, thankfully got to carry this. I had probably the most amazing lineup, broadcasting live from the HIMSS annual conference, and I broadcast every year live from HIMSS. I'll do it again in 2025. But I had the most amazing lineup, and we called it. Even I remember Anish Chopra called me that morning, like right before, like an hour before HIMSS was going to HIMSS called. He's like, Justin, I think, because he's one of my main guests. I had like Rasu Shresha and Halamka and Rasu. I mean, and Ranish, and I had Mickey Traffy and a whole gamut. Just great people, and we also put a big chain together. And then HIMSS called it a couple of minutes after that. But Anish said, Justin, we're still doing the show. And literally still, we had everybody, Karen DeSalvo, everybody stayed with me. So we just did the show around the exact same time that I still was going to broadcast it, but we did it remotely. I did it from my studio in Atlanta, but it ended up going one of the most phenomenal shows, just most amazing remote broadcast. Everybody was perfectly on time from wherever they were in the world. And we still went off without a hitch, and it made it this awesome, impactful show. But we still, everybody came together. It was a difficult year, but we all made it happen. So it was very, very cool. Man, you made me think back to that. And that was a special time because everybody kind of came together.
It was. That's an awesome story. A lot of big names you just rattled off there.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was, they were phenomenal. So, Mike, you've had a lot of success, but what is the secret sauce of DRI? Why are you guys so successful, and why are you guys the most connected recruiting firm in healthcare, in my opinion?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Yeah, look, so I think just how we approach things, as far as our charter goes, we place folks at the C-suite, but we do full team builds and kind of everything in between. I built my team to kind of mirror what a growing commercial health tech company needs to hire for, and so. Some of our best referrals and networking comes from talking to the CFO that refers us to the controller at their last company that they hired. That's the high achiever that's ready for their next career move and says, hey, use my name, go call this person. And vice versa. The salesperson we talked to that says, hey, my old boss was the best chief revenue officer I ever worked for, and he or she is miserable, go get them. And so that 360 viewpoint of the market and kind of the up, down, side to side, as opposed to hanging out at just at the C-suite and executive level or just at the team level, I think is really good. And as far as how we've been able to do it, and frankly, I really emphasize to my team, and frankly, I hold myself to the same standard of just making sure we're just talking to people all week long and treating them with respect and with a long-term viewpoint. I'm not retiring anytime soon, and I've been doing this for quite a while, and been fortunate that some of the folks that took the time to talk to a 22-year-old kid in 2008, 2009 and explained him the industry, have become CEOs and CFOs and chief revenue officers and have been really gracious. And we just don't take that for granted. I think that's just the sauce.
No, it works. It's absolutely working, my friend. So congrats, and please don't retire anytime soon. We need you. So as we approach the end of 2024, this is what aspect of the show that I love. What are some key trends or shifts that will define the industry in the coming year? What should companies prepare for?
It's interesting. There's a lot of talk about AI and things like that. But I think what's interesting, especially in the hospital market, because look, docs and nurses got burned out. The cost of labor has gone up for hospitals. There's just a lot of downward cost pressure um, on the hospital systems. And so the areas that I see AI making a real impact are in some of the areas where AI can improve processes and automate um, a lot of the administrative stuff that can really represent real cost savings. And the fact that there is labor shortages, so having to wrap technology around virtual care and around different, making care more accessible, and the fact that care is just continues to get more and more expensive. I mean, healthcare insurance premiums continue to go up. Digital health companies are trying to curb that cost, but I think we're going to continue to see more adoption of that. I think more automation of processes, as the health systems continue to kind of consolidate and acquire groups that are just so have disparate systems and processes. I think the technology didn't exist before with all the interoperability issues. I think AI is going to continue to help that. And the more we can kind of, embrace it and leverage technology to continue to improve access to care, I think will only help. And just at the current pace of, labor continuing to go up and costs and everything like that, and people not being able to afford their care, I mean, something's got to give. So I think technology, if healthcare can follow fintech and other industries that have really embrace technology, I think it can make an impact. And I see that with a lot of really innovative companies that we get to work with and we talk to. If the funding markets can open up a little bit, I think we'll see a lot of good continued push in that direction. And if anything, I think some of the pressure of the capital markets the last year and a half, 2 years have got to kind of help companies or force companies to operate a little more fiscally responsible as opposed to kind of growth at all costs, which ultimately I think will, do good for the industry with companies that are operating, with strong business sense. So we'll see, but I'm optimistic.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. And for those that may have joined a little late, my special guest today is Mike Silverstein, Managing Partner of Healthcare IT and Life Sciences with Direct Recruiters. I think actually, I had another CEO friend of mine. We were talking earlier this week, and he actually did a different radio show, and he sent it to me for me to review and give him some thoughts and critiques. But he did a phenomenal job. But he also talked about how we should always be operating like that. It shouldn't always be growth at all costs. We should always be looking at the bottom line. We should always be looking to how can we conserve capital? That should never change. It doesn't matter what the economy is doing. I mean, I get sometimes where you just have to go full on, but it always comes full circle. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've been an entrepreneur literally for 25 years. So I've seen too many times, twice now, where grow at all costs, and that does not usually benefit. It comes back to burn. Literally, figuratively and literally, burning cash. It never quite works out, in a positive way over a long period of time. Talk about a 1 year, 2 year. But again, I think I agree with you at the bottom line there. You also do spend time with private equity and venture capital. So I do want to get, some perspectives. You have a good inside view there. You work, deep with them. They're on a lot of our calls. You have this great monthly call that you've invited me to, which is phenomenal. And the only reason I haven't joined the last couple is because I was traveling all summer and I was in Europe for a little bit, but I'm back and I'm looking forward to these calls again. But tell me, give my audience, that their unique perspective. What do you speak with them, again, almost on a daily basis. So give me some inside view to how they're thinking about the markets today.
Yeah, look, I think what's interesting is I think that there was kind of a blurred line, in my opinion, in 21 and 22 between how private equity and growth equity were operating, because I think they were both kind of operating at growth at all costs. And so there was a lot of PE folks that wrote some really big checks and crazy valuations for businesses, and frankly are kind of on the hot seat at the moment. But VC, I still find VC to be super, super focused on innovation, but now I think they're being grounded in the fact that companies they're betting on, they've got to pay attention to can they get to break even and have a focus on EBITDA and not just growth at all costs, as opposed to just multiples on revenue? And so what I've seen, and the emphasis I've seen from both VC and PE, is a hunt for operators that can come in and support of founders and come in with really good business fundamentals. You had we have a lot of really brilliant, wildly brilliant founders in this industry, and a lot of VC bet a lot of capital on folks that had big ideas, but frankly had never run a business before. And so I think what I'm seeing and what I'm getting asked to go find on behalf of both VC, growth equity, and private equity are folks that kind of can thread the needle of being innovative and working with really good founders, but that also really running a really, solid business with solid business fundamentals, which ultimately, again, there's been some pain. There's some companies that have gotten starved out from capital that were just burning cash. But as we're finally at a point, I think, in the market where valuations and, asking buyer and seller are finally getting a little more aligned as far as what's reality and what's going to go forward. And so I think we're going to see the companies that have made it through that are going to do well and keep growing. And if they're focused on sustainable business practices, I think they're both going to keep going, and there's going to be some really good opportunities in the market. But yeah, I mean, the big focus has been, pairing really good operators. So CFO talent, heads of revenue, operations, things like that, focusing on KPIs around driving really good business versus we're just going to raise our way out of, bad decisions. And I think, again, that's good for everybody, because the industry needs some of these companies to do really well and really proliferate their technology and some of the good things that they're doing.
Yep, totally agree. We have 2 minutes left, so I want to get this question in for sure. This is a kind of on the positive note, the good note, because we have, a lot, we deal with a lot. But what progress are you most excited to see occurring in healthcare today?
Again, rapid technology around the different care, right? I mean, the population in this country is continuing to age. I think there is a good focus on going forward. We got to figure out how to keep people home and healthy and out of long-term care facilities and out of hospitals. I think there is finally an understanding and embrace that, like by the time people get into the hospital, you're on defense, right? And so figuring out, wellness, figuring out ways to keep folks better in tune, better connected to their providers. So whether it's direct primary care or actually, embracing different value-based care models, the businesses that have figured out how to really do value-based care and value-based care contracting properly, those businesses take off. And they can really make impact on a lot of people. And so to me, I'm excited about anything that can use technology to improve access to care, reduce cost, and keep people home and healthy, as opposed to getting really sick. So paying better attention to their sugars if they're diabetic or things like that, getting tested for this, that, and the other, but doing it in a proactive way. So, ultimately we can help kind of get this country healthier and make it more affordable and improve access. So technology can really help us there.
That's fantastic, Mike. I couldn't agree more. And I'm deep into that space. I love value-based care, chronic care management. 90% of our healthcare costs are wrapped up just in that one component. So if we can move the needle just a little bit there, we save hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, in our $4.3 trillion, $4.4 trillion annual spend in healthcare. So completely agree. But yeah, we're basically at time, my friend. So thank you so much. You're awesome, dude. We'll have you back for sure.
Thank you for having me, Justin. Thank you for all the really kind words, and appreciate everything you do for this industry. You're the man.
You got it, brother. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. And also a big thank you to all my listeners and supporters who voted us 2024 Podcast of the Year. So please tune in weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. And as always, you can track my shows and everything I've got on LinkedIn at Justin T. Barnes, or track me on Twitter at HIT Advisor, and use the hashtag #ThisJustinRadio so we can respond to your comments from the show. If you missed any of this episode or want to hear more, all my shows are posted at Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and tune in. We actually have a couple new platforms coming live in the next couple of weeks. So certainly check it out, and also see some of the new thought leadership that we posted out on justinbarnes.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.